Hello, Scorpio. How's everybody doing today? I hope that you're doing well. I can't wait to look at the month of November and get through all the messages that were coming through this morning, especially as I woke up. I kind of had everything that I needed to say right when I got up, and I was feverishly writing all the notes here, which I'll show you in a second to make sure that I got it out. Just a quick introduction. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. We'll be looking at the month of November for Scorpio. You can use it for your sun, rising, and moon. I welcome cross watchers. You can also take a look at, this if there's someone else in your life that's a Scorpio and you just want to see how they're doing, it's perfectly fine. If you just want to watch for your birth sign, of course, that's what it's designed for. The way that I set this up is in 4 major parts. I begin with some channeled messages, which, as I said, come through in dreams, in meditation, and then automatic writing. And after we get through that clairvoyant or channeled message, I will move along to the Celtic Cross, where we can get a little bit more tactical and look at high points, challenges, and all of the things that kind of flow in between. That gives you your blueprint for the month ahead. I really allow that. I'm going to put down my puppy here. I really allow that to take on whatever form it wants to, because I have an expanded forecast that follows, where we look at health, wealth, love, and destiny. And once we get through everything there, I go into the soul path, which usually helps. It'll reveal itself as we go through this. It's 1 or 2 items where you can do the most work or make the most progress. And then we'll integrate everything afterwards with a meditation and a sound bath. So a nice, I think, comprehensive overview of everything that's going on. And it's fun for me. I hope it's fun for you. I'd like to start off by welcoming everybody, whether you're new or this is a return view for you. I just want to say thank you. You make it worth my while. And welcome as well my moderators, Ryan and Maria. They help me keep everything organized here. So if you have a high-level question of where to find something or what we're doing or what's coming next, they can answer that, and I appreciate them. One last thing, and then we'll get into all the messages that are in front of me here. If you are here for the first time, let me just kind of set up expectations for Q&A. I don't do that, basically. I'm here to channel and to share it. There's a lot that's going to come through, and this would make it like 2 hours instead of 1, so I want to make sure that it's concise. But if you want to support the channel, you can do that by clicking on this little icon next to the emojis and do a super chat or super sticker. And that basically goes into helping me continue to buy supplies. Just like that. Thank you so much. And anybody like James that does that afterwards, I will make sure that I put a little thank you as a pinned comment, usually by the end of the day, on the video when it's on replay. So thank you if that's something that you can do. Otherwise, I know a lot of folks here are on Patreon or even channel members. So however, wherever you can help me, or if you're just liking and subscribing, I appreciate your help. All right, let's talk about what's coming through. A quick preview. There's a lot of messages. There's actually 2 of them were just very detailed, so I want to talk about it. I'm going to get into the first interaction here. This came through very vividly as I was just trying to hit the snooze alarm this morning and thinking, should I get up now or whatever? And then all of a sudden, I got additional dreams and meditation, so I kind of stayed in that zone for a little bit, and then I wrote everything in my phone, and then feverishly as I was writing today, I'm like, my hand hurts. This was a lot. The first piece that came through was about, the best way I can say it is a complex partnership, teammate, or some sort of a situation where you're put in with someone and you have to kind of work with them. So many different ways that could be a part of things. Like if you're looking for a roommate, it could be a roommate situation, whether you're an adult or a student or whatever. Sometimes we just need help paying the bills and someone comes into your life. It could also be a work situation, which is how it kind of showed up in my dream. But any way you slice it, what I was seeing is that you were thrown in with somebody that you normally wouldn't probably interact with. And it was a little contentious. For those of you that watch my channel frequently, you know that I don't really use curse words. But in the dream, they were coming out. I was telling this person what I thought about them. I just thought that they weren't being a very nice person. And I said a couple of choice words. And they didn't disagree with me. This person had a really big ego, but they were also very smart, and they had some great points of feedback for me. And so what I realized with this situation was, some of you are faced with a person that's a little difficult to deal with, but you can learn from them. Partnerships in life sometimes come through as fun. Sometimes we can learn, and that's what this one is. And sometimes it's just a lot of it's love. It's like a divine partnership where you're celebrating and lifting each other up. This is not so much that. This is more, I need to learn from this person. And the sooner I learn and work through this, the sooner I can get on to the next thing. For some of you, I actually feel like there were external forces pushing you together, particularly like if there was a boss or a family member that thinks you can get this person on the right track. And let's talk a little bit. I'm going to break it down. I have a bunch of cards here to kind of say it. So first thing is that it's complex. This person isn't good or bad, and you're not good or bad. There's just shades of gray, and the two of you are kind of showing one another what you need to work on. As I said, it's a teaching situation both ways. This person came across as smart and outspoken, a little too bold possibly. Their ego gets in the way for them sometimes. What's good is that they can teach you how to sometimes bring out your charismatic side, or how to be a little bit bolder. Charisma, confidence, and assertiveness are things that you might find that you share a little bit more when you're in the energy of this person. And they can learn a little bit more from your diplomacy and temperance, because I feel like both of you could get into the temper zone rather than temperance, and that's what you want to avoid. Basically, what this situation is teaching you is how to speak up and push back, and also how to kind of have a more of a symbiotic union rather than a codependent one, where you're both allowing for there to be a little bit of room to meet in the middle, and also to find skills that you didn't think you had. Your leadership abilities are going to come up to the surface this month. Now, if you don't see this person in your life, it could just be your guide coming through that's trying to kind of like invoke these things. So if we looked at it because we're in a pandemic and we don't have the same interactions that we normally would, what I'm looking at this is that there's a chance to kind of come out of your shell, show your true colors, speak up a little bit more, and even be a little bit more provocative or insightful especially when you're working with people. They want to hear some of the tough questions. So it's okay to ask those tough questions. The things that you would want to avoid from what I was looking at, imagining that this was like reverse cards and things like that, is allowing language to get in the way, saying things you shouldn't, whether it's just saying it in a way that isn't right, like I was saying it in the meditation, or having a breakdown in communication. And then also just your ego in general, you want to keep that in check. What's good though is I saw success as a result of this. So if there's something challenging this month, either you're being pushed to find things you didn't think you had, or you're being smashed together with a group of people or a couple of people in your life where you're like, I don't like this situation, you're going to succeed. You're in it because you have things that those other people don't, and they're going to bring out things within yourself that you didn't think you had. So it's a good thing overall. Keep your cool. All right. Don't let the scorpion sting come in. You want to hold back just a little bit. And I'm on the Scorpio cusp, so I feel that sometimes too. It can depends how the person comes across. Sometimes it can just initiate something within. You feel the heat and the fire, and it just comes out. So be careful there, because I feel like you could end up looking really great at the end of this month. If you keep your cool, you're a good leader, and you find this energy of diplomacy again that maybe you didn't know you had before. Okay. On the flip side, and this could be related to all of this, if you're having a difficult time with something like this, or you're just kind of overall feeling overwhelmed, I saw an ally waiting on the sidelines, and they wanted to help you, and they seemed really sweet. So just know that there is help around you. The thing that was interesting about this person is I feel like the situation could go either way. It depends what you're looking for. And it seems like from what I could see, they would be open to more than friendship, but that's up to you. And if you don't want that, just be clear. They're waiting for a signal from you. So one other thing that this is teaching you is just to speak up, to not send mixed signals, and not to feel bad sometimes, to just say no if you're not interested. I think that's so much better than, kind of dancing around things. Just say, no, that's not what I'm looking for. And then the person can reset and find someone that is looking for that, and it frees you both up, and then there's no weirdness. So one relationship is just kind of contentious and complicated, but you're going to learn a lot. The other one, there seems like there's an ally in the wings and waiting for you, but they might want more. So there's another test there to just be clear. If you want it, awesome. If you don't, also good, but you need to say that and need to be strong, and don't feel bad about that. That's just part of life. So There's a couple of little mini lessons with these two relationships. Neither of them is, to me, seemed like they were too bad. Just try not to, in a public setting or in a bad way, kind of let your words get out of your mouth. I felt like it was channeling in a bad way. Sometimes that happens where we just can't help but say something. And I think taking a deep breath and asking a question or saying, I hear what you're saying, but I also have some insight. So let's find a middle ground. That would be the words you want to say instead of you are blah, 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 blah. Just about a lot of bad words. It made me laugh. I woke up and laughed a little bit actually with that one. All right. Moving on to something more symbolic, more akin to kind of like the cards and the symbols that I normally work with. My guides were showing me a tree, and then they flashed to the tree being cut for lumber, and then the space that was left when nothing was there. And the message that was delivered to me was, don't burn through things too quickly, resource-wise. And then they showed me another tree where there was just some trimming and then new growth, where basically I was shown that if you kind of pace yourself or look at how we're consuming resources overall and we're smarter about it, it can be sustainable and renewable. And so when we're looking at resources, it's both symbolic, figurative, and literal. Like, we need to do this on the planet more too. We don't need to be cutting down big redwoods and things like that. It's ridiculous. So looking at ways that we can use and grow things in a way that they can be renewed. And then in our own lives, this is kind of about like burning the candle at both ends. I work really hard. I've talked about that. I have a few jobs, but I have to get a certain amount of sleep or I can't show up this morning and make sense. If I don't get 5 or 6 hours, I'm not going to be able to talk and to assimilate and to kind of like see things clearly. So you have resources, time, energy, just even your own sort of auric energy needs to be refreshed occasionally as well. So this is about that. But let me just kind of break this down again. So very specifically, it was a tree that I was being shown. And then I was shown the gap that was left after it. And then they were saying, why not do something that was renewable or sustainable? And look at your consumption of resources. Resources are time, energy, and money, and also the environmental resources. Where can you find places to conserve? Are you just kind of like running and running and running, like it's a sprint, but it's long distance and you need to pace yourself? If you are feeling burnt out, which is part of what this could be, like the 10 of Swords, then it's going to be super important for you to find a way to work smarter. Heal yourself, heal the planet. That was definitely part of why they were showing me this. And also when we're looking at just the environment, that also means what's toxic around you. So whether it's people, habits, or objects, it's time to clear and clean that. We are in, if you're watching live, we're in retrograde now, and we're out of it around the 3rd of November. So if you're watching this at the beginning of the month, you'll still be in the post shadow until about the 7th or the 10th or whatever. So for that first week, clear things out still. It's a good time to kind of take the positive part of retrograde, which is release, without all of the technological problems. Hopefully around the time we get to the, like I said, the 7th or the 10th, things are feeling good again, and we can start to not worry about those little things that annoy us in a retrograde cycle. The reason being, some of these attachments are just holding you back. And if you can prune rather than completely obliterating it, like I was seeing with the tree, there's room for growth. Pruning actually encourages growth, and I think that's, again, just a metaphor both for our life and then the planet. Like, we don't need to use everything up all the time. There's a way to kind of be smarter about consumption. The last thing was a message about attire. I don't think that the dress or the attire makes the person, but it can make a difference in key situations. So what I saw was a case of mistaken, like you look like someone else, but you grab someone's attention. So what I was seeing is that you could put yourself in a different light, particularly if you're trying to throw your hat in for a new job, or you're trying to redefine who you are, make people see you differently. It is effective to try things like cutting your hair, wearing something different, but do it because you want to, or do it for the desired effect. Like, hey, I'm more than what you think I am. So if I shift this up a little bit, maybe that'll get your attention. It can. So what I basically saw was using dress in a way, or attire in a way that is empowering. So literally putting your best foot or best shoe forward. But because you want to, and because it is going to help people frame you up in a different light. So don't be afraid to dress up. It's a good thing sometimes. Or don't be afraid to dress down if you're trying to approach people and be more down to earth. Something about what you're wearing is going to be powerful this month. So pay attention to it and don't underestimate that. I can say this without any doubt. Bad hygiene or not looking good, looking unkempt, that certainly is not going to help you be successful. It shouldn't be the most important thing, but especially if it's a hygiene sort of thing, you want to pay attention to that. So enough said with that. Let's go ahead now and go a little bit deeper into these messages and these relationships. You know, I don't always focus on relationships, but it was so very clear last night that it was interactions. We're not necessarily talking about like a love situation here. I was seeing work or team situations where it's like, why am I having to work with this person? It would have been easier to walk away, but it's better not to. It's better to finish this up, and it's better to find a way to resolve it. And you're going to feel stronger after this. That's what I saw. You'll learn something. You may even appreciate the person, and they may also appreciate what you bring to the table as well. So I think it's win-win if you can navigate it. All right, I'm going to remain quiet at this point as I pull out all of the cards, but afterwards we'll talk about meanings and get into everything for the month ahead. Yes, so much communication and relationships is almost the whole thing. Okay. All right, everybody, thank you so much for giving me a moment to get everything set up there. Let me just take a drink of water and then we'll talk about what's coming through. I can't believe it's almost, I think it's completely swords and cups. I don't, it's never happened to me. I'm going to flash it down for a second. Like, it's only swords and cups. So that really aligns to what I was talking about with communication and relationships being like the main thing. We got no pentacles, and that's crazy. That very, very rarely happens, and no wands. So, okay, well, the messages are clear for you today. So I think in the past 6 years of me doing YouTube videos, I've never seen only swords and cups. So this will be an exciting reading. I could tell from the dreams this morning, and again, how quickly I had to write down all these messages, that there was a lot coming from Spirit. All right, so we have this drum card. It was reversed when I was looking at it, but marching to the beat of your own drum, dream and journey. So don't be afraid to define what it is you're trying to do. And again, kind of have your own rhythm or your own style. And yeah, march to the beat of your own drum. That's really what I'm seeing with this. The other thing that when I think of what a drum functions as in a band, it's really to keep the pace, right? To keep the rhythm, to keep the timing. So one thing that you're going to want to pay attention to this month is the pace. And that's where I was talking about sustainability and burning yourself out. You want to try to make sure that it's something that can continue. And if the drummer loses the beat, the whole band is panicking. It's a mess because the singer has to try to catch up, or there's like, what do we do? Or just please stop playing. So keep the pace. Don't burn yourself out. You have this kind of ability to be the glue this month and really bring everything together in a nice way. So the other thing here with dream and journey being underneath it is to pay attention to not letting something out of your periphery. So if you're trying to accomplish something, the dream or the journey or whatever it is, this is reminding you that that's a very important piece of that puzzle. So there you go. I also like that we see all of the directional arrows on this particular card as well. So love it. Let's go to the center, 2 cards. We have 9 of Cups, which is crossed then by the 8 of Cups. The 9 of Cups is reversed. The 8 of Cups really has nothing because it's, we're just going to read it as upright because it crosses it. So the 9 of Cups, generally speaking, is a very positive card. And in its positive energy, it's about seeing the best possible aspects of things, even trying to have a sunny outlook, if you will. When it's reversed, it can mean that it's difficult to sometimes maintain that Pollyanna type energy, like always looking at the positive or sometimes overly focusing on that. So what's necessary this month is to try to find a balance between the critical elements, which is what I saw coming out of that potential partnership or union, and then also the positive. And so remain constructive, remain grounded. And when something comes through and it feels like a hiccup or it's taking you off your path a little bit, this is a reminder that it's not the end of the world. So no sort of Chicken Little, the sky is falling energy with the 9 of Cups in reverse, more that, okay, that wasn't fun, but what can I learn from it? How quickly can I rebound? And then also when things are really, really great, focus on not kind of getting it in your headspace, because I saw the ego. So whether it's you or the other person, this is just really about staying closer to the middle. And it should look more like a wave of high and low like that rather than, whoa, a roller coaster. Because on a roller coaster, it's more fun to kind of go through those little loops and turns than the gigantic ones. You can only do a few of those because they make you sick sometimes. So that's the message here, is try to keep it more like that than, okay? 8 of Cups, making and breaking cycles and possibly having somebody return to your life. I see it oftentimes as a second chance card. So if there's something that you feel, I wish I could have done better, whether it's literally that person or that opportunity returning, or it's a template of or an echo of that, so that you get to prove to yourself, you know what, I can do it this time around. Maybe I can't go back and change history or change the experience with this person, but I can feel healing in my life at this moment because I've proven to myself that that was just a moment in time. It's not always going to happen that way. So a chance to learn something and to let it go, perhaps. If there was a breakup or there was a loss, this shows that there's still a chance for you to heal with that person. Typically, when I read for a partnership and that comes through, there's something about unfinished business, like the door was kind of left open, or maybe there was something unsaid. So there's a chance to tie things up or maybe reconcile. But the important thing of the 8 of Cups is proving to yourself that the cycle has ended on some levels, okay? For business, these aren't bad cards, by the way. 9 of Cups, really positive feedback. But the reverse tells me that some of you, if you're doing something effectively as an artist, like a musician, a painter, a writer, if you hit a real nerve, it's provocative. So some people may think this person's a genius, and other people will think they're a space cadet. The truth is probably somewhere in between. Maybe you channel a lot and you're a genius, and some people just can't get it. So don't feel bad if there's a 1-star review and some 5-star reviews. That means that you're making a difference, that you're hitting a nerve. And a lot of times, I've talked about artists that I like before. I'll name 2 of them again. But like, if we look at David Bowie or Prince, when they came out, they had a hard time because people looked at them and couldn't put them in any sort of category because, you know, they would wear face makeup and lipstick and, you know, paisley and things like that. And who cares? They made amazing music, and they were using that as a way to try to get in your head a little bit, and it worked. So the genius part of it was the important part, and sometimes people are misunderstood until the end. So just because people around you don't get what you're doing doesn't mean you're not intelligent or that you're not doing the right thing. It just means that you might be ahead of things a little bit. So there you go. That's a positive reading of the 9 of Cups reversed. And the 8 of Cups, which means that sustainability, when we're talking about that, that's like return business. If you do something really good at work or creatively or artistically, people will be knocking on the door and saying, when's the next thing coming? So that's another thing to be mindful of. All right, looking at the deep past, we have the Ace of Swords in reverse. I like the Ace of Swords generally. Any of the aces show me opportunities, beginnings, seeds that can be planted. The reversal of this is just saying, watch out for thinking that something can't happen before it's actually had a chance to start. So this is like throwing away an opportunity is what I'm looking at when I see this. And it could come from a negative thought implanted in your head or something that you hear from someone else, whether or not, like I said, it could just be someone that doesn't understand what you're trying to do. So give your dream, give yourself a chance, be positive and stand up for yourself. That was something that I was kind of saying in the channeled message. Instead of saying something cruel right back to that person, which is, you are a blank, blank, blank. Say instead, it looks like we disagree here. Let's agree to disagree. And I think there's value in this. I'll help you with this. You help me with this. Like, just be strong. Sometimes people are just it's pressure testing to see if you believe in you. A lot of times leaders will do that. And if you don't believe in yourself, they're like, forget it. They don't have confidence in that. I'm moving on to the next person. If you defend your idea or defend what you're trying to do, they'll be like, all right, let's talk about it. I just want to see if you really believed yourself. So this is just saying, stand up for yourself. Okay. If it's a good idea, go for it. If it's not, you need to get to the point where you believe it before you want other people to believe it. That's what this magic key is about. Imagine that it's a skeleton key. The skeleton key, the way to unlock the door is you have to believe it. Once that happens, some really cool stuff will start to unfold for you. This is the burnout that I was talking about. We have the 10 of Swords here. It was reversed. It's avoidable. It's in the past, so it doesn't have to happen right now. But with the 10 of Swords, I like the way that they're illustrated in this deck. Sometimes we see swords as birds. In this particular deck, we see them in the form of like swords and clouds. So it's in your head or it's in your energy. And this is really encouraging you to find a way to release that energy of having to do that. I feel like sometimes this is imposed upon yourself. So find a way not to put yourself in positions where you're holding up all of the weight or doing all the work. Keep other people accountable for it. Say no. Don't look at something as a quick spurt of energy. Like I said, it's a long distance run, not a sprint. So you've got to find a way to kind of do a little bit less, but over time so that you can get a lot more done and for a lot longer time. You can't keep doing it forever if you're burning yourself out. Enough said. Take care of your body this month. The 10 of Swords can show that there might be some sort of chronic pain, particularly in the back. There may be a relationship where some tough things were said because, we have the Ace of Swords in the past, the 10 of Swords here, the 7 of Swords here, the 3 of Swords here. So if there's someone in your life that is kind of really making it difficult to have a conversation, it looks like you're moving on to greener pastures this month. It's time to release that based on what I'm looking at here. With the 8 of Cups at the center, it's important to be clear on your signals. I mentioned that even for the friendship that's coming through, especially for the ex or for the partners that you want to cut out of your life or the situations, whether it's coworker or whatever that you want to cut out, you have to be very clear on that. So we have a beautiful bright light at the top of that because there were some challenging things. So it's you. We have the King of Cups here. And this could be new love and new relationships. I said it was in the wings. And guess what? We have in your environment card, the Ace of Cups. It's reverse, which means surprise. Literally, like this is a surprise that there might be someone that is interested in you or is your friend or your advocate. There's some affection here. The question for you is, what do you want to do with it? To me, a reverse cup can also be unrequited, or it's either unexpected, unrequited, or maybe inappropriate. So you have to figure out, is it the right time? Is it the right place? Maybe it's happening at the workplace too. There's something off about it. So just sort it out and think, what do I want? And what do I want to tell this person about that? There's nothing else that's really bad about what I see here. Love and friendship, always a good thing to kind of see around you. You just have to state if you want it, okay? And then that's another test of your sort of your ability to put boundaries, limits, and to communicate freely. All right, so it's time to be much more transparent. We have the 7 of Swords here. The card is reversed and it's in the near future. And as it always is, it's a slippery kind of card. So the Seven of Swords is really making sure that if someone says they're going to do something, they do it. If you say you're going to do it, do it. If you catch someone in a half-truth or a lie, this is also about making sure that that behavior stops. And for some of you, it's either yourself or someone else. This is a time to kind of get real and end the cycle, is what we're seeing here with the Eight of Cups and the Seven of Swords. Something's been going on for a while, and now it's coming to light. And it's tough when that happens. I'm surprised we don't, I mean, I'm using the Sun and Moon deck, but I'm surprised I didn't get the Moon as well, because maybe when we look at the, not the expanded forecast, but the soul work, it'll come through. Because it feels like 7 and 5 of Swords are usually like sister cards. They come through a lot. We got the 3 instead today. But sometimes I see the Moon when I see that as well, or the Devil, because they're all in the same energy. It's sort of like, hey, you should pay attention to this, but you're not really. So whatever it is, the sooner you pay attention to it, the sooner it will get clear, the better you're going to feel. And if it's a difficult conversation that you have to have with someone because they've let you down, they've taken something that they shouldn't have, they've been caught in a lie, or they've been caught with somebody, whatever it is, it needs to just come out. The air needs to be cleared. And then you can focus on better things, because we've got 2 really nice cards here at the top. We have the King of Cups in your crowning position. We have the King of Swords. So there's a better relationship, and there's also a lot more that you need to be doing with your time and energy. This is your heart. This is your communication skills. You got to be putting it in other places. Let's work through the other stuff here. We have the Queen of Swords here. This is in your ego. Really positive placement for this card. Your biggest skill this month, like I said, if you focus on not letting this one moment kind of trip you up, will be your ability to communicate and lead. That's why you have 2 kings and a queen card coming through. You have a lot of leadership opportunities that are popping up in more than one place in your life. Use your words, choose your words wisely, and know that they have the ability to elevate or to destroy. So use that elevation instead. When I get 2 of the same suit, we have the Queen of Swords and the King of Swords. That can show a relationship that's going on. This is you because it's in your ego. This is the future state. This can be like an elevated version of yourself. And if it is, what I like about this is that it could actually show that you're going to meet another partner that's not just a repeat of you, but it's bringing in kind of a different energy. So I see at least one great partnership on the horizon, but it feels like there's one that you need to heal or learn about first. And that's going to be important. The Seven of Swords can also just be someone who doesn't want to listen to you or isn't listening to you. And I saw a little bit of that in that teamwork situation. So this is when you're standing up and at the end of that situation, finding a voice you didn't think you had, and maybe surprising even that person. So growth is the main thing for you. People and relationships this month are the conduit for that. They're not the outcome. Again, that's one difference that I kind of have in approaching the cards, is how can I learn more about who I am and how to be a better version of myself, so that all of the resulting relationships around me are also in that higher energy. Otherwise, if you're seeking out completion from the people around you, then you're not really doing the work internally. So I'm not afraid when I see some of these tricky cards, because it's going to help you be stronger and brighter and lighter. Are you happy? This card in the environment is also about where you're living, who you're spending time with, what you're doing, what you're studying, what you might feel like is missing from your life. It feels like there's a little piece that you're thinking, what else do I need? The cool thing about this Ace of Cups card is we see that you already have what it takes to bring it upright. We see the reflection here. And it's just really a matter of you owning what it is and all the different shades of the rainbow here, as I was talking about before, just allowing yourself to try on new things. We talked about clothes, and it's interesting. This is going to be happening after Halloween, but the idea of masks and revealing and the veil still being thin still kind of goes into November. So one of the things that you get a chance to do is try something new. Imagine yourself being someone else and see how that feels, and see if you're inspired to like step into a different career path or something of that nature. Okay. Hopes and fears. If we're going to get something like the Three of Swords, I'd rather it be in hopes and fears. For some of you, you might just be worrying about something that hasn't happened and may not ever happen. And so this is really about not putting power into negative thoughts or the negative words that others might have, again, kind of imprinted in your life. So the Three of Swords can be very much here. It's not always here. So this is a chance to divorce yourself or separate yourself from those old thoughts and patterns that no longer really align to who you've become or who you're becoming. If there's someone in your life and you haven't forgiven them yet, it may be this part of your energy system has kind of let go, but up here, they're still kind of going around in your head. So the Three of Swords is finding a way to release those thoughts that hold us back, as illustrated here. It's not so much about this. So loving yourself, thinking positively about yourself and others, and then understanding the role that they played in your life to teach, to push, to provoke, and seeing that on some level as a blessing or an elevation of your energy, even that contentious one that I kind of saw coming through over the course of November. This is what's going to allow you to move forward, because then they just become like a book, a chapter in the past. Get to go to the next page, get to go to the next chapter, get to write a new book. It's time to let it go. It's ancient history. But you'll have to do a little bit of analysis internally to understand the context, to contextualize what you were experiencing. Ultimately, I like what I see. We're going to focus on the top two cards. So this is where your headspace is. Whenever I look at the crowning card, for me, it literally is kind of like where the crown is. And we have a king card, which is perfect. And it's you, King of Cups, Scorpio. So I feel like once you sort out your heart, once you sort out your head, then wonderful things start to happen. Movement, and your communication becomes elevated, and you start to see things from a bird's eye perspective. You get a better view of what's going on. So I see really positive growth. And then if you were to get into that space, these are two evenly matched. I like it when I see two kings or two queens or two knights. Basically what I'm seeing there is energy with similar maturity, life experiences, and when we're kind of looking more at binary stars where you're both shining, but not one person that's kind of pulling energy from another. A king and a queen, it's a little imbalanced still. So I read that differently. I'm actually happy when I see two kings or two queens, and it can still indicate a guy and a girl. I don't read gender by cards. I read sort of energetic compatibility. And if you do the work this month, you're pulling in a much more compatible friend or partner at the end. And I see that person as already being around you or being aware of you. And it's just a question if you want to have them in your life, because they're definitely interested in you based on what I was picking up on in my meditation. So there's some choices to be made. All right, let's take a look now at the expanded forecast. And we're going to be looking at health, wealth, love, and destiny. And each one of these is multi-part. So let's see what they have to say. We're going to start with the health card, mind, body, and spirit. Answering the call, the time is now. What are you waiting for? It's a rhetorical question, and I was asking the Libra yesterday the same question. This is a good time to make the change in your life. New job, new relationship, change of living situation. There's a lot of positive movement that can happen in your life right now. Yes, we're in a pandemic. Yes, the world is uncertain. Yes, there's a lot changing. But stuff like this has happened before. When we look at like World War II, we look at the civil rights movement in the 60s and 70s. When we look at any point in the past where there's been a lot of big life changes, there's always times where it sort of feels like the world is ending, but it's really just changing. This is the first time in a while that it's been changing this quickly, this often, for this much time, but we're gonna get through this, and we can't stop doing things. So there's still gonna be marriages, there's still gonna be births, there's still gonna be deaths, there's still going to be new jobs. We still have to release creative work. The world keeps turning. You're being called to do something this month. It's in your health area, which means it's going to make you happy to make this shift happen. Of course, this can also be about tuning in clairsentiently to your body. And if there's something going on and you just feel like this isn't right, of course, go and take a look at that. But more than anything, this is about maybe allowing yourself to go forward, even though it's a hot mess. 2020 is still messy, but it won't be this way forever and ever. We're just learning to work in this new sort of energy in this new system. So that's the main thing that I see with health. The other pieces that are coming through are, as I said earlier, not to burn yourself out. Pay attention to your back overall. If there's any pain, get that looked at. For those of you that might have a family history of blood pressure, heart disease, etc. Three of Swords can have to deal with that. It can also just be about sadness or depression. So the pain elements in the Three of Swords and Ten of Swords are the common denominator. So whether it's physical or emotional pain, or there's something going on and you just feel like it's not right, those are the bookends that are kind of calling to me. And then the Nine of Cups can be about the highs and lows too. So I feel like there's always a connection, but your emotions and then the physical pain in your body, bring that into some sort of a good space this month. And I think that's the main thing that is coming through, besides the message of taking a leap of faith and trying something new. All right, when we look at wealth, we have a release card here, very much connected to the heart chakra. And this is about being able to, for some of you, it could just simply be letting go of something or publishing or releasing something. But it could also be a feeling of, I have to do this for me. So maybe it's saying like, I can't do what I used to do, or I can't make these people happy, or I need to step away from this. It's death, basically death and rebirth. And it's number 13. I think in this particular deck, this would be death. It's a very different version of the tarot. So I'm just seeing that now. But I see death as transformation. And this particular aspect of death is the release aspect, which is saying, in order to be reborn and to do something else, I have to close one door before I can open the next. And so we kind of see the two different versions of death here. This is the new beginning. This is the rebirth. This is the release. And really makes a lot of sense that it's coming through close to a retrograde period, right after Day of the Dead, Halloween, all of that. And so these messages still ring true. So take a look in your life and think. Imagine that we did this yesterday in the meditation, so you can check out Libra for this one. We won't repeat it today, but imagine that the god Janus is opening up a portal for you to look at the past and the future. What's holding you back? What do you feel like there's like a feeling of either regret or wishing that you could fix? Start to fix some of that now. And what is it you want to create? You benefit from that. You're on the cusp of Libra too. So some of that energy is spilling over here, and basically saying, what can we do? What can we do to get forward? What's holding me back? Because both of these cards are saying very similar messages. This is saying the time is now, and this is saying release. So for health reasons, it's time to move on. For wealth and prosperity and independence, it's also time to move on. Pretty good. The other thing that's interesting is I have no resource cards. So isn't it fascinating that the guides were showing me the tree to say, like, make better use of what you have. Don't use it all up, because we didn't get any pentacles. So let's just assume that this is a conservation month, November. Doesn't mean that you're losing. It just means that what you have, you should keep, and you should try to grow it. And it's kind of like the old-fashioned way of living off the farm or something. Use everything that you can wisely, but don't extinguish it. Make sure that you can take the seeds and sow them again in the spring. Smart use of what you have. And then don't just spend all the money and everything in the bank. This is a time to be conservative. If there's anything that you need to let go of, it might be a good time to do that too. If your resources are tied up in objects that you don't need, you can then liquidate those and get some sort of material. Get rid of the material, get something like money, and then do something wise with that. Invest it. But just be conservative overall when it comes to money this month. All right, looking at love. Yeah, there was a really sweet energy, and we see it right here. It says, sweet soul rising. As you go to higher energetic points, you're going to be pulling in equally high energy in your life. So part of this release could also be someone that needs to go away. And we saw that with the Three of Swords. But they're kind of like, they come knocking or they text you this month. And this is your chance to say, no, I want something higher and better. I'm not going to compromise who I am. And move on. And then that other person will show up. As we look at the final card, it's time to take care of yourself. We have a caretaker in reverse. So many of you may be kind of pulled in many directions right now, because especially if you're working at home, from home. So you're taking care of children, you're trying to do a job, maybe you're taking care of an elderly parent. Maybe you just are the glue in your sort of social sphere, where if you're single and younger or single and older, people just lean on you a lot. You're the caretaker. Take care of you. I don't want this to happen to you. I don't want the burnout to happen or the physical or health exhaustion to actually come through, because you can't afford it at this time in life because of coronavirus and COVID-19. We have to stay strong. We have to pace ourselves. And that resource card, if you feel good and you have a lot of abundance in your money, it's just about taking care of this resource, this vessel, so that you are okay. Okay, let's go ahead and review everything, and then we'll go into the soul path, and I'll dig a little bit deeper. I may even ask about resources since they didn't come up, and we'll see what comes through. But I'm not expecting anything, since this is, again, probably the only time I've ever seen two elements own the entire spread. It's pretty singular for me. Okay. As I said earlier, I saw a complex teammate or partnership opportunity that's coming into your life this month. Basically, you having to deal with someone with whom you normally wouldn't probably find yourself partnering up. You can learn a lot from this person, and vice versa. There's a reason that the two of you are coming in. It's more of a karmic or a teaching relationship than anything. This other person is smart, outspoken, and charismatic, but their ego gets in the way. If the person doesn't show up, it could be another aspect of your personality where it's saying, don't let these attributes get in the way. Use the sort of charisma, use the intelligence, but pull back a little bit on the ego. Being more humble and being more empathetic is going to be helpful. It's good for you because it's going to help you be assertive in certain areas of your life. So you can learn from this person. They can also learn the temperance piece that they may not have. Empathy and diplomacy are important components. I feel like that's you, and that's something that you should own and that you should celebrate this month. You need to speak up. You need to push back as needed. Your ideas are super important, and they need to listen as well. It's not about sort of having them come through and only get their way. Aim for a symbiotic union, and try not to kind of be stepping in as the caretaker here. This is something where it needs to be back and forth, give and take. You don't want it to be codependent. Your leadership abilities can and will shine as you start to find new ways to navigate through this. So good for you. You have a new ally that's waiting in the wings, and we see that energy, and we also saw it over here. So equal, like attracts like. So as you go to a higher energy, you attract a higher energy. They may want more than friendship. So if you're taken or not interested, make sure that you put that boundary up and state your intentions. That's all. I was also seeing the tree, and we talked at great length about this, like a tree that was being used for fuel or for resources, but it was gone. When you cut it down, you cut it down. It's better to only use what you need and allow it to keep growing. The same holds true for your resources, because we didn't get any pentacles this month. So basically, what if you were to do something that was renewable, sustainable, and could still grow? That way, that resource doesn't go away. Take a look at where you can conserve this month, and kind of find a place where you might be burning yourself out, and try to avoid doing that anymore. Heal yourself, heal the planet, clear your environment, especially if there's a toxic relationship. These attachments are actually like anchors, and they're pulling you down. Your dress and attire, although they don't define who you are, they could make a difference this month. So use them as a tool, as something that can empower you. If you're controlling the dialogue when it comes to your dress and attire, then it's not a bad thing. Just make it a tool that you can use. You'll get noticed, and much better to be noticed for the right things, and to put your best foot forward. And that's basically what my guides were showing. It's a choice. You don't have to take it, but I saw that dress and attire could make a difference this month. March to the beat of your own drum. I talked about David Bowie. I talked about Prince. There's a lot of other examples that could come to mind, but those two were kind of big, because everybody can kind of get an image of those two performers, and they were just unusual and talented, and they did their own thing. You can't lose track of what's going on. This drum beat is also kind of you as a project manager of your life. If you lose the rhythm, you're going to there'll be a lot of catching up to do. So take care of yourself. You can't afford to get sick. You can't afford to burn out. You have to kind of be this steady drum beat in the background. Okay. 9 of Cups, 8 of Cups. Trying not to go to highs and lows, to try to kind of be in the middle. Also, there's a chance to, you might really knock something out of the park and surprise people, and they're going to want more of that, whatever that is, whatever you do. So I see a really cool cycle that you could be starting as well. Stay positive about yourself. Don't get engaged in negative sparring. I didn't really see that the first time, but it's coming through as I review it. This is using those words in a way that isn't the best. We all have them in our vocabulary or in the back of our head. There's a time and a place. It's not now. Stay positive, go higher. If someone is not accountable or is letting you down, step in and let them know it's not acceptable, but also try to help them do what's right. I think that sometimes when we kind of pigeonhole and put someone in a box and say, this is it, you're bad, then they can't ever elevate. So say, I need you to do this. You said you were going to. This is your last warning. That's kind of all you have to do. Say, that doesn't work with me. You're not going to get away with that again. So do it, or just walk away and let me know now and I'll find somebody else. However they might be functioning in your life. You need to be able to lean on this person. And if you can't, for goodness sake, there's a lot of other people that are coming through. So you have choices. You don't have to be with that. Queen of Swords leading to the King of Swords. Ultimately, this is a growth path for you. Some of this is about finding happiness and balance in your life, going towards that symbiosis rather than the codependency. So there's that. You might also have a choice between two partners here, because I kind of see, 3 different people, and that's not going to work in a relationship unless you're open to that. But with the 7 of Swords and the 3 of Swords, it's not reading as polyamorous to me. It's just reading as messy. 10 of Swords, 7 of Swords, and 3 of Swords. There's something about this that's not good. So if there is a choice in partners, you've got to state that intention clearly and let one person go and move on to the next person. You've got to kind of be clear and clean with that. Otherwise, the cycle will keep repeating itself. The 3 of Swords for some of you is just pain from the past. And so talking to a therapist, talking to a friend, just even integrating the messages internally and saying, I learned a lot, but I just don't want to be giving power to those sort of negative experiences. That's going to help you. And at the end here, I just see you being really, really strong, because these are also just 2 aspects of your personality. So King of Cups and King of Swords. Passion, communication basically ruled the cards this month for you. So you've got to find a way to keep those 2 things in check, and you're going to be, like we see here, the kings, which is great. Again, remember, this can be male or female or non-binary. I don't read that way. It's just the highest possible energy with love and with communication. Why are you waiting? It's a rhetorical question. It's basically, I could read what it says right here, which is it's time. It's time to make the move. Walk through the door. We got a double message here, not only for health, but also for the relationships here. This is saying that a release is going to help you out. So why not release? Why not move on? This is the time. And releasing the pain is going to be ever so important. I think some of you may need to talk to somebody based on what I'm looking at here, so don't be afraid to do so. Once you do that, the new version of you comes in. We see this rising star, if you will, here. This can be just you. You don't have to have a partner in your life. This could just be the higher version of yourself that gets above some of the swords that we see here. And ultimately taking care of yourself, finding that yin-yang balance that you all deserve so much. I like what I see here. Some of you will freak out because you see the swords cards. I don't. I just see that there's a chance to heal, there's a chance to be accountable, and there's a chance to let go of the past. If I look at the 10, the 7, and the 3. It's also in the past, the near future, and hopes and fears. It's not in the final outcome. It's not in the crowning position, and it's not in the ego. All of those are auspicious and upright cards. King of Cups, Queen of Swords, King of Swords. That's you. So that's what you want to focus on, okay? Let's dig a little deeper. I want to look at the communication stuff. Let's go a little, I want to see how you can get away from maybe saying or doing something that you shouldn't. So how can you elevate your communication this month? Four of Swords. Surprise, surprise. This is a release card as well. Four of Swords and Six of Swords are actually different versions of death, which I've talked about before. The Four of Swords reversed is, for some of you, I feel like it's an overdue push from the universe to move on. And we need time to process. We need time to take care of things. But when this card is reversed, it's actually saying there's no more time. It's time to you're missing windows of opportunity if you wait any longer. So it's more of the same here. I would say for some of you, if it's not clear now, by seeing the time is now, release, and then the Four of Swords reverse, which is basically to take some action, to move forward. it's important to do so now. If you read this one, it actually has a title on it which says Truce. This is kind of what we were talking about with the interesting partnership that could be coming through. You don't have to agree with everything that person's saying. You just have to find a way to work together and find that sense of, we can do this. So I feel like you can do it. And that's the other thing. And finally, just getting enough sleep, because Four of Swords can show that some of you are not getting ample sleep. So, I want you to move on and make the movement in your life, but that doesn't mean that you need to be an insomniac or burn yourself out, because that was actually contrary to the other message. Action is one thing. And then also we were talking earlier about making sure that you're renewing your resources. Sleep is one of those. So if you're rested, this is better. And then this comes out in a much better way. So get enough sleep. To get back to my original message, I think it's rest, sleep on it, think about it. That's going to elevate your communication. But the guides were also showing me that part of the reason that you might be having some of these communication issues is because you're overdue to move on. So it's a double-edged sword, no pun intended. All right, let's take a look now at the relationship stuff. Are you ready? Where are you at? What do you need to know with either current relationships, past relationships, or future ones? Since we got a lot of swords. A lot of swords, a lot of cups. So let's see what we can do with this one. It's time for a change. Is it clear yet, Scorpio? I hope it is. You've gotten a lot of cards of change, and this is the ultimate one. But it's the Tower reversed, which I'm least frightened of when it's reversed. This is basically saying, yeah, I know what I need to do. I'm going to do it now. I'm going to do it before this comes. In the upright, you have no warning. Notice how we have like the Eye of Horus here, or Eye of Ra. Basically, that's saying, yeah, I saw this one coming. So listen to yourself. This is your time to make a positive change. And the Tower reverse, let me just give you some examples of what that can be. I was talking yesterday, I think, actually, about moments in your life where you know that something is going to happen. And if you speak up, you can actually affect how that change will impact you. So in a job, you might be able to get into a position because you speak up. In a relationship, you might be able to fix it before it crumbles. But you have to make a choice. For some of you, that choice is going to be hard. The Seven of Swords is a tricky card to rebound from because it's trust lost, right? So for some of you, then it's a house of cards. Lots of puns today, because as I'm looking at the cards, I'm like, yes, it's a house of cards. But it could just fall apart once this truth is revealed. So I think you get a fresh start if you'd like. So when I'm looking at this, my question to you is, if you choose to stay at this job, in this house, in this relationship, what are you gaining from it? Aside from predictability or maybe the security of understanding, like, this is what it's like. What might you be losing? What's on the horizon? What are you denying yourself? Look at the two categories, because it might not just be a simple check mark in each. You're going to have to look at this and think, is it worth it? Is it worth the effort of rebuilding? Or should I just move on and release and go somewhere else? You have choices with this card. It's reversed, which means the onus is on you a little bit to decide, do I want to wait for this to happen? Do I want to get ahead of this? Do I want to stay, or do I want to go? The universe is showing you that change is inevitable. Time is now, release. Four of Swords, the Tower, change. So it's just a question of when you want to do it, and if you're ready, and if you're not ready, what you can do to get more ready. Remember that your two top cards were two kings, though. The movement is taking you in a positive direction. So I'm not afraid of wherever you're headed. I just I want to help you get there faster. All right, so resources, since we didn't get any. Is there any messages about pentacles? About resources, time, energy, money, since I'm not seeing any cards about that. It's going to be a cup or sword, and I'll laugh. All right. All right. Thank you, universe. We got a pentacle card for this one. All right. So we've got the Four of Pentacles, which, as we see, is foundational. Much like the deck that I was using yesterday, this is moving more from the Thoth approach to Four of Pentacles than the Rider-Waite-Smith. So you've got what you need, but you may not have more than enough. And that's totally what I see with this. It's a building card, a foundational card, but it's not an overabundance card. So what I got earlier, my guides are like, we already gave it to you, is basically use what you've got and make it something better if you want to. You may be able to take it and capitalize and grow on it. You have what you need. So they were kind of like saying, you don't need any more. You have what you need. That's not the focus this month. So one thing with the Four of Pentacles, if I go back to Rider-Waite-Smith, where we have that big coin over top of the heart, there are two elements of that I would look at, which is, why are you holding on? Because we had so many messages about release. Are you protecting yourself? Are you protecting the idea? Are you afraid of something? If so, release that, because it's right over your heart. If you believe in it, other people will. Put that down and create these little sandcastles like we see here. So it's your chance to rebuild. And by the way, if something's destroyed or taken away, you can rebuild it. And it just takes time. And that's probably the trade-off. This is the aftermath of the tower, or the aftermath of the tree that I was seeing. So this is your chance to rebuild. You can do it. Give yourself the time and the energy to do so. But the Four of Pentacles it doesn't show an overabundance, but it does show a foundation. And I think that's enough right now. So hopefully that answers your questions. So let's look one more time at what we have here. Again, it's time to move on. And for some of you, you just have to take care and make sure that you're getting enough rest. These are all reversed, but I'm just showing them upright so you can see them. The Tower, there's a change that needs to happen. You have control over it since the card was reversed. So why not get ahead of that? And then rebuild. I think for some of you, it might just be a fresh start, because we're not seeing the aftermath of the Tower here. We're just seeing a new beginning. So I'm excited for you if you're deciding to go down that path of trying something new. It feels good to me. And the fun thing here is we're looking at this guy building sandcastles, is anything is possible. And sometimes when we're stuck in the past, trying to clean up or trying to use all of those old pieces, it's difficult because you're retrofitting, right? You're trying to make something fit into a box or a hole or something that it doesn't. And it's like, I just need to use something different. I need to start again. All right. So let's go into the meditation. And I'm doing a scan of these cards and looking at what I like. I like the door, but the Soul Rising looks like it's the one that we're going to use. So I'll do an evening-based meditation, and maybe we can have you kind of going towards the moon. So we'll use lunar energy because I'm using the sun and the moon deck. That makes a lot of sense. All right. So before I do that, quick note, I would love for you to hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. I try not to ask too often. I just kind of do it at this point. It makes a difference. It helps people discover the channel. It helps you remember when I do new videos. So please do that if you can. That's the only time I'm going to ask about that. So thank you. I'm going to get ready here for the meditation. Please get comfortably seated, and then we'll do a little wrap up after this. I saw we had a new channel member too, so welcome to the new channel member, and we've had a lot of super chats. Thank you for everyone that's done that. Okay, so see yourself sitting outside, maybe by the beach at nighttime. It's just you listening to the gentle sound of the water as it crashes against the shore, maybe listening to if there's any birds in the background before the sun is fully set. And as you kind of step out to the beach, looking at the stars now, you can still feel the warmth and the radiance of the day because the sun has just gone down from the horizon. So the sand is still warm to the touch. Take a moment to find a place where you can lay down and just kind of feel like you're pulling a warm blanket around your body as you're sitting down on the beach. Before you get too deep in meditation, draw a circle around your body. And imagine that is a circle of light. And as you look above you, you see the moon right overhead in whatever phase you'd like to. That doesn't matter as much. Just see the moon and see the circle around you, symbolizing the moon. It's going to actually be a portal that you use to travel to the moon. So first, connect with the earth and feel your body supported by the sand. Feel your heart connect to the center of the planet, and go ahead and put an anchor in the center of Earth, knowing now that you're going to be safe here. Think something kind and loving towards the planet as you do this, like thank you for giving me a roof over my head, a place to walk on all the days of my life, in this lifetime and in others. And maybe make an offering or an intention to do something nice for the planet as well. And as a return, it's going to give you safe haven and allow you to anchor your heart in the center. Now that you feel safe and connected, close your eyes even in the meditation and really tune into kind of hearing the moon, imagining that the moon has a voice or a frequency. And keep focusing on the moon until you start to perceive its silver energy all around your body. You can actually feel the light particles from the moon touching your skin, sort of cold and gentle breeze that goes over top of you as these molecules are connecting with your body. And using your third eye only, imagine that the moonlight is calling you, almost like a song, from the earth to its surface. And you're going to be kind of transdimensional here. Your body will be anchored, but your soul and your spirit's going to rise above your body. And anytime you need to come back to it, you can just connect with the heart of earth and you'll be back here. But just trust in this right now. Imagine that the feeling of connecting to the moon is almost like if you were in a raft out in the ocean. You would feel this sense of being gently rocked or cradled, and you feel your soul being gently lifted as you have that feeling of being cradled. And your mind becomes lighter, your energy becomes lighter. You also feel the light, the reflection of the moon shining down on your body as well. And as you're doing this, your heart starts to open up and also connect with the moon itself. When you're ready, imagine that you could take a gentle look over your shoulders back at Earth, seeing your position on the planet and also your position in your life's sort of goal. And you get this chance now to see, where am I at? Where am I headed? Does this make sense? And do I sometimes get lost in the hustle and the bustle and the shuffle of day-to-day life and the news and all of the drama that surrounds me? Have I lost perspective? If you have, you're going to gain it. If you haven't, you're solid in your clarity now. Turning your attention towards the surface of the moon, allow yourself now to gently enter the moon's atmosphere and drift like almost like a feather towards the surface of the moon. You have hardly any weight here, so I want you to just imagine that you could kind of dance around, twirl around, enjoy the freedom that exists by being on this satellite, and take a moment to look at the vastness of the universe. Away from the pollution and the light pollution, especially of the Earth, you can see the vastness of the stars and the galaxies and the universe, the brightness of the sun in the distance, and just all of the beauty that's out here. We're in an amazing experience here. This life on this planet at this time is very special, and it's getting lost right now because we're getting too distracted and too angry and too upset. So in this moment, I want you to find peace in the magnificence of the world. And I want you to kind of bring into focus what you came to this planet to do. And as I play the singing bowl here, reconnect with your soul's path and feel this lightness of being and this rising of the new you coming through. Allow the energy of the moon to bring a cycle and a predictable sustainability to your energy, just like it does to the earth. It controls the tides, it stabilizes the rotation. If you've been wobbling in your life, if you felt like you're just not quite on the right path, your short stay here on the moon is going to allow your trajectory to change, for you to have a more stable orbit, for everything to be a little bit clearer, a little bit stronger, and for you to connect with your intuitive side. The moon is the most sort of primal and basic way to connect with our intuition. And she's sending you a little bit of an energetic upgrade here so that your senses are heightened and you can trust your instincts. That's basically what she's telling you. Offer some sort of gratitude to the moon for your stay there, sending a prayer of love and again, some sort of kind thoughts towards this moon. And see your soul back on planet Earth. See a beautiful beam of silver light connecting you from your position on the moon to your position on Earth. And also call to the center of Earth and say, show me the way. Feel like you are gently drifting. Take your time to enjoy this journey. Look at all the planets, the rocky planets here towards the sun, the gaseous planets towards the outer rim of the galaxy, or our solar system rather, and just get the sense of your place. You have a place. You're part of this symphony. You're part of this mathematical equation. So feel a sense of purpose and a clarity of what you're trying to do, and that your path has been straightened out and you know exactly where to go and how to do it. One last deep breath and feel your body starting to re-enter your body, or your energy enter your body. And allow for that integration to take place. Rub your hands together. Put your left hand on your heart, your right hand on top of that. Call any residual energy from the surface of the moon or the center of the earth back into this heart space. Release any fears or anxieties and gently open your eyes, containing this new sense of intuition, creativity, sense of purpose, direction, and strength. Welcome back, everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed today's messages and journey. Again, pretty singular. I had to really almost pull to get one pentacle card, and they were like, you don't need to see it. So I feel like you know what you need to do this month with respect to emotional well-being and also just communication. These are the two focal points that came through very loud and clear. And then an unavoidable change on the horizon for you. So the sooner you can become an active participant in that change, the more powerful that change will be, and the easier it's going to be for you because you're going to be controlling it. All right. Let's take a moment here just to wrap up everything. I want to say thank you. I saw at least one new member. We have 110 likes. Thank you. One more, and we have a magical number. So feel free to make it 111 for me. And if anyone did give me a super chat, I want to say thank you. And I will, in a moment, well, when it's on replay, a few hours later, I'll put all the thank yous there. So in advance, I just want to say thanks. I'm going to give you some ways that you can connect with me. Everything's on my website. It's nicholasashbaugh.com. If you can't remember any of this, you can just click to my profile on YouTube and the About tab. It's all there, so don't freak out if you can't remember it. First of all, I'm on all the major social media networks. On Facebook and Instagram, I will use stories that are clickable that you can basically on the morning of this reading, you can just click and it will take you there. So that's super convenient. So feel free to follow me there. My username on all major social media platforms except Twitter is Nicholas Ashbaugh. On Twitter, it's just N Ashbaugh. On YouTube, I also use stories to remind you. I just can't put a link in it. Patreon is a great way to give back. And I'll be doing more with TikTok in a month or two, more to come on that. It's kind of attached to a future project, but feel free to follow me on any of these. I'm most active on the top 3. On Patreon, I also will send out my newsletter if you're not already subscribed to it. And I'll probably be doing a Q&A in about a month's time. And I don't do many of those. I'll do them like once or twice a year. But people that are members of Patreon or a member here on YouTube, there'll be special areas where I'll take most of my questions there. I may take a few from other social media platforms as well, and more to come. If you'd like to give, well, actually, first of all, as I said, Twitter is just Ashbaugh because of character limits. On all of these, by the way, I always like to remind you, I'm not going to directly message you. Sometimes there's imposters out there. This is the only way we're going to talk, unless you've signed up for my newsletter. If you want to join me on PayPal or contribute through PayPal, I should say it's paypal.me/NicholasAshbaugh. And as I said, if you want to join here and give back, you can do that. And on replay, if you can't do the super chat, there's a new option called Applaud or Applause, and it's only available on the desktop or Android right now, but probably in the future it'll be iOS. And as I said earlier, this is a good way to stay in touch. If you click on the bell and not just subscribe, it will give you a chance to also get an email notification when there's a live video or a new posting. So anyway, thank you everybody so much for showing up today. Really powerful messages, very, very clear messages, and oddly specific. So to me, that means that there are some of you that really needed to get those, and I hope that this helps you navigate and have a great month ahead, okay? It's Friday, so I'm off on Saturday, but I'll be back on Sunday and Monday, and Sagittarius and Capricorn will be next. So looking forward to the next couple of readings. In the meantime, have a great weekend, everyone. Stay healthy, stay happy, have a great month ahead. I hope your November is amazing. And as I mentioned, we're in retrograde. Don't freak out. Retrogrades are a good time to release patterns and to make new ones. So embrace those elements of it, because there wasn't too much energy that I was seeing here that was left over. It's just really about a relationship energy, really healing that kind of stuff, I think is key. All right, everyone. See you soon. Have a great one. And thanks again for showing up today.